right, folks, straight from chadprather.com. Let's get right into this. The nasty big government establishment is simply not knowing what to do about this massive freedom convoy. You know, all those trucks that are making their way and have made their way now all the way across Canada and descended on the capital, Ottawa, which couldn't be more emblematic of the fed-up working-class masses who have been sidelined by tyrannical governments. So naturally, wait for it, folks, wait for it. Naturally, all these truckers showing up in Ottawa, the establishment is claiming the movement is what? Racist. And now they're saying it's backed by Russia. I mean, of course it is. Come up with something original, guys. According to the BBC, police were investigating a Nazi flag spotted on the second day of the convoy's demonstration around government buildings in Ottawa. As the protest movement's official social media pointed out, a suspiciously fully masked bearer of a Confederate flag that it claimed was a plant. But while Canadian media has been slammed for trying to link the group to extremists with the thinly veiled impression that the whole thing is a covert white supremacist movement, God, I'm so tired of even saying stuff like that. One television host decided to just throw in implications that Russia really funded the movement. It was CBC's Neil Coxell who suggested while speaking with Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino on Friday that perhaps the Kremlin was really behind this convoy of trucks because of Canada's support for Ukraine, which Russia is currently kind of lightweight threatening to invade, which, as Ukraine's president pointed out last week, isn't exactly a novel move from Moscow. They made a history of this. He said, I do ask that because given Canada's support of Ukraine in this current crisis with Russia, I don't know if it's far-fetched to ask, but there is concern that Russian actors could be continuing to fuel things as this protest grows, but perhaps even instigating it from the outset. This is ridiculous. In the typical spokesperson for the government fashion of tossing a Molotov cocktail into the public forum and then running away without any accountability, Mendicino evaded answering this preposterous question outright, replying that he was going to defer to their partners in the public safety of trained officials and experts in that area and ensuring that the officials would be monitoring the protest to ensure it was peaceful and safe, etc. By the way, Chris, I'll toss in that the truckers are now saying that they have enough supplies that they can make this last for 2 to 4 years. Yeah, so Coxell did not evade, he didn't evade a bashing on Twitter, which couldn't resist commenting on the obviousness of this claim. On a scale of 1 to Joe Biden, how stupid does the media think we are? But this is the trend. Once the media loses their narrative to freedom lovers, they resort to lies about extremism. Don't you know they have papers to sell? They've got ads to sell, folks. They've got to spin it. All about the spin. Now, they got to reel you in. Now, bear in mind that CBC receives funding from the Canadian government. That's the entity whose premier, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, I'm calling him the premier. He declared last week that the convoy was a fringe minority with unacceptable views on vaccines and mandates. Now, that is the leader of the supposedly free country, although the last several years certainly called this claim into question. He just told a massive, peaceful protest movement that they're not allowed to think what they think about vaccine mandates. And the way the Canadian government has treated the working class these last 2 years, yeah, the Russians don't need to fund the Freedom Convoy. There are enough pissed off Canadians and Americans who are sick and tired of the mandates, the narratives, the patronizing and false claims from the establishment that grassroots populist movements are either racist, foreign-backed, or both. Just keep lying to the people, CBC. It's only making them angrier and less willing to participate in this failed attempt to squelch the last semblances of liberty in the West. Now, on the flip side, President Trump, of course, he was in Texas on Saturday. He's never been one to pull punches or side with sissies like Justin Trudeau over real people like the Canadian truckers composing this Freedom Convoy. So it should come as no surprise that he praised the Freedom Convoy during his Saturday rally in Conroe, Texas. And during that rally, one well attended by thousands upon thousands upon thousands of patriots and a whole lot of Trump supporters, he praised the Canadian truckers for defending freedom and attacking lawless mandates in a way America's leaders haven't. He said the Canadian truckers that you've been reading about, he said they're resisting bravely these lawless mandates, are doing more to defend American freedom than our own leaders by far. And we want those great Canadian truckers to know that we are with them all the way. How about that? Now, in addition to praising the Freedom Convoy, Trump also called on those Republicans that win in the expected 2022 red wave to reinstate all those American service members who were fired by the military at Team Brandon's behest for refusing to get the jab. Now, Trump's comments were about the exact opposite of what Justin Trudeau, who fled Ottawa as the truckers entered the city like a despot of old, fleeing the angry peasants carrying their pitchforks and their torches. Trump's strong pro-freedom convoy stance is likely part just in his nature and part calculated, though it's believable that he supports the truckers because their spirit is his. It's also likely an issue that he's trying to place himself on the side of as a way of removing that whole vaccine albatross from around his neck, because he kind of stuck his foot in that one. The vaccine issue is one where Trump is of quite a different stance than his base. He's praised them, though saying that it shouldn't be mandatory, while most members of the base aren't particularly enthusiastic about the vaccine pushed on them by Fauci. Similarly, he's struggling because he didn't fire Fauci with those all those dictatorial impulses, then they became evident during the late spring and early summer of 2020. So here's the deal. By placing himself alongside the anti-mandate Freedom Convoy and similar issues such as taking the side of those fired for not getting the jab, Trump's likely hoping that he can avoid that albatross and reinvigorate his base heading into both the midterms and the run-up to the 2024 election. We'll see what happens. Who knows? It'll probably be successful if he chooses to run. In any case, Trump's words on the Freedom Convoy likely encapsulate how his base feels on the issue. I think you and I can agree on that. By protesting in such a visible manner, they're fighting for freedom in a way that very few Americans have. And now I read that they're about to start one in Australia.